Imagine stepping off a time machine into ancient Australia, expecting kangaroos and koalas, only to find yourself face to face with a 25-foot-long lizard with jaws strong enough to crush bone, birds taller than a basketball hoop that could disembowel you with a single kick, and spiders the size of your outstretched hand. The air is thick with heat, the skies buzz with giant dragonflies, and there is not a single human soul for thousands of miles. Welcome to prehistoric Australia, a land so deadly, so bizarre, that scientists are still debating how anyone survived it at all. Before modern humans ever set foot on the continent, Australia was home to one of the most terrifying ecosystems in Earth's history. Unlike Ice Age Europe or mammoth-filled North America, prehistoric Australia was not just a different environment, it was an entirely different reality. Isolated from the rest of the world for millions of years, evolution ran wild here, producing monsters that seemed to belong more to science fiction than fossil records. This was a place where natural selection turned creatures into living weapons. The apex predator ruling this nightmare landscape was Megalania prisca, a giant monitor lizard that could grow up to 25 feet in length and weigh over 1,000 pounds. Imagine a Komodo dragon on steroids. Its bite delivered venom, just like its modern relatives, but on a scale large enough to bring down a fully grown Diprotodon, a bear-sized wombat. Megalania didn't chase its prey. It stalked it, ambushed it, and let its venom slowly kill it. If Megalania was Australia's land-based terror, then the skies belonged to Quinkana, a land-dwelling crocodile with legs built for running and jaws built for rending. Quinkana wasn't your typical water-bound reptile. It hunted on land, sprinting at terrifying speeds, its serrated teeth leaving nothing but ruin in its path. And then there were the birds. Forget emus and cassowaries. Prehistoric Australia gave us Genyornis, a 7-foot-tall, 500-pound bird with thunderous legs and a beak sharp enough to crush bone. Some paleontologists believe it could sprint up to 30 miles per hour, and if cornered, its only response was to charge. Imagine a bird capable of killing you the way a lion would. And Genyornis wasn't even the worst of them. Giant kangaroos known as Procoptodon hopped across the land. These weren't your typical marsupials. They stood nearly 10 feet tall, with forward-facing eyes and hoof-like toes that made them more like bipedal horses than kangaroos. Some theories suggest they could deliver kicks powerful enough to shatter bone and use their forearms like clubs in combat. Then came the Diprotodon, the largest marsupial to ever live. These creatures were the size of modern-day hippos but roamed the outback in herds, leaving massive footprints in the ancient dust. They looked slow and dumb, but one misstep in their path could turn you into a smear on the ground. Even the insects were nightmares. Fossil records show giant dragonflies with wingspans over 2 feet wide buzzing through prehistoric forests. There were spiders the size of dinner plates, and centipedes that stretched over a foot long and delivered neurotoxins that could incapacitate prey. Water was no refuge either. Ancient Australia's rivers teemed with megalodon-sized sharks and prehistoric lungfish capable of surviving droughts by burying themselves in mud. Crocodiles larger than modern buses haunted the freshwater systems, waiting silently beneath the surface. But it wasn't just the animals. The land itself was unforgiving. Massive volcanic activity reshaped the terrain repeatedly. The Great Dividing Range spewed ash and lava across thousands of miles. Temperatures swung wildly from blistering drought to torrential monsoons. Megadroughts could last decades, destroying entire ecosystems. Rainforests turned to deserts, and fertile plains became cracked earth. Australia was in constant ecological flux. It was not a place of peace, but of endless trial by fire. And yet, into this nightmare stepped humanity. The first humans are believed to have arrived in Australia around 65,000 years ago, possibly even earlier. They didn't come in droves. They came in tiny groups, using primitive rafts to cross treacherous seas from Southeast Asia. Their arrival wasn't a conquest. It was a test of survival against odds no other migrating human population had ever faced. These early Aboriginal Australians didn't just survive. They adapted, thrived, and over time became the longest continuous culture in the history of the planet. How? By becoming masters of the land. They developed tools unlike any seen before. Their spears and boomerangs were carved with such precision that they could take down massive prey. They learned to read the land like a living map, tracking animal migrations, predicting weather changes, and harvesting seasonal plants with mathematical precision. They created fire stick farming, a controlled burning technique that allowed them to shape the ecosystem to their needs. They cleared underbrush, triggered fresh plant growth, and lured herbivores into predictable areas. It was not just survival, it was ecosystem engineering thousands of years before the term existed. But not all stories had happy endings. The arrival of humans coincided with the extinction of Australia's megafauna. Megalania, Diprotodon, Genyornis, all gone within a few thousand years of human colonization. Whether by overhunting, climate change, or a combination of both, the result was the same: the monsters vanished. Some theories even suggest that the Aboriginal Dreamtime stories, tales of giant serpents, clawed beasts, and bird demons, are oral histories of those last terrible encounters. Even with the monsters gone, prehistoric Australia remained a harsh, unforgiving place. The people had to contend with venomous snakes, dangerous plants, and landscapes that could swallow entire tribes. There were massive inland lakes that would appear and vanish over decades, disorienting communities and driving migrations. There were meteor strikes that scarred the land and likely killed thousands. One such crater in Palm Valley may mark one of the last large meteor impacts in human history. Despite all this, the people of ancient Australia developed a culture of depth and wisdom. The Aboriginal songlines mapped the land not with drawings or writings, but with music and stories, a kind of spoken GPS system that could guide someone thousands of kilometers using only memory. They passed down knowledge not in books, but in ceremony. And through it all, they endured. For over 60,000 years, they endured. So the next time you see a kangaroo or hear about the outback, remember, this land was forged in nightmares. It was a crucible of survival unlike any other on Earth. Prehistoric Australia wasn't just dangerous. It was a relentless test of what life could withstand. And in surviving it, early humans didn't just beat the odds.